Welcome, everybody.
Hello, welcome. It's nice to be back.
Yes, I was flying solo last week without my partner in crime. I'm not going to lie, it was pretty boring.
My bad. I know you don't have your quick one-liners or someone to make fun of you.
Education. Sorry, we've just been fighting about different words and
semantics.
Yeah, your favorite word today was education.
It was.
Education.
Education is important all the way around.
I like consultation. You like education. I think it's, you say tomato, I say tomato. But that is what we want to talk about today, right?
It is. That was kind of gearing up to the conversation was consulting, educating versus selling.
I think that you're just saying a different word just so you can hear yourself on the headphones.
Not really. I hate hearing myself on the headphones. That would not be true.
Well, welcome to Motivate Everybody, Motivate You. So glad to have each and every one of you with us. Thanks so much for listening to the podcast, which honestly has been really, really fun, man. We've been growing. It's been growing really, really well. We appreciate all the comments, concerns. Mm-hmm. We would like some suggestions, though. I mean, anything that you guys want to talk about, I want to make sure I'm able to bring it up and have these conversations and really figure out more ways to help you take your practice to the next levels. I think is going to be really important. And if we can educate you.
Or consult.
Or consult.
Potato. Well, it is. And a lot of times, we base our conversation off of what we're hearing that week from our advisors, from outside advisors, what we're seeing in the news. So, we always try and keep everything timely. And I think it's just conversations that you and I have in general. Mm-hmm. We figure, hey, other people have got to be talking about these things or having questions about these things. So let's, kind of bring it to the forefront in the podcast.
Yeah. I mean, if it's a trend, let's get it out there and let's talk about it. Because if you're missing out on it, then maybe it's something that you want to be aware of now. Mm-hmm. I am busy.
Yeah, I know. It's great.
2021 is absolutely off the charts right now. I am so freakishly busy. I'm about to go on vacation next week, which I'm pretty excited about, but I can really keep up. And I hope a lot of you are experiencing a lot of the same things, but I think clients are starting to get to the point now where the COVID fear, not has they really dissipated, but they're now looking at it and saying, okay, now what?
Now it's time to move. Now it's time to do something.
Yeah, I mean, I think we had a very good warning shot across the bow a year ago, March, where the market dropped significantly and it did it very quickly. And thank goodness for most everyone out there, it recovered.
Right.
But I think what it showed people were some of the exposure that they have towards that downside. And then there's just a lot of talk right now, economically speaking, where we're talking about inflation now, we're talking about taxes, CPI, we're talking about taxation, we're talking about all these different things. And really kind of just, we need to determine how that's going to impact people. And this is kind of where the topic came into. Mm-hmm. I made a decision years ago to start planning.
I was supposed to ask you that question. You totally messed up our agenda.
No, I can still let you ask me.
Nope. I already ruined
well, no, because when I got in the industry, I was taught to sell.
Right. And that is kind of the whole basis of what we were comparing, selling and consulting.
Education. But yeah, I mean, I decided to make that decision for some specific reasons. And then what I learned was there was a lot of side effects that were positive that came from that.
Right.
Positive, really good, strong ramifications that came from that. But today was interesting. I had a client come in this morning, and he's been a client of mine now for probably close to 12 years. Mm-hmm. Just a fantastic man, but just lost his wife of 92 years of age. She had a great run.
Yeah.
Absolutely wonderful woman. Gave me a hug and kiss every time I saw her. She told me it was probably going to be the last time. She's been giving me hugs and kisses for about 12 years. And I'm not laughing because it was just adorable. She was just the nicest lady. And then somehow I ended up on our SharePoint, which is basically our server that we use in the cloud. And I ended up looking at some old pictures from some holiday parties from back in 2013. And it's amazing how many clients and how many of their lives have changed dramatically. I mean, I had several clients who have since passed, several clients who have since ended up with, medical situations, cancer, Alzheimer's, dementia, things of that nature. And then I've double lung transplants. I just had all these different situations, and, it really struck me, Cass, because being that I moved down here in 2006 from Minneapolis and being in the, in the mortgage industry and financial service industry, that place, we would talk to people about what if scenarios,
Mm-hmm.
but I had never really seen them come to fruition. Right. And I never saw my clients age for two reasons. One is I moved, but the other was a lot of my clients at that time were younger. And so it just didn't happen as frequently.
Right. It was just a different industry, a different field that you were kind of in at that time.
Yeah. And kind of getting to where I started this firm, the Terrier Group, my own personal production firm in 2008. We're still having the same conversations. That's really where the 8 elements of financial control came from, was us having those conversations of what ifs, but none of them had really happened.
Right.
It was all kind of imagine, make believe world. And after looking at those pictures today, it was amazing to me how much their lives have changed. And we're no longer in a situation where we're saying, what if? We're actually watching several of these situations come to fruition.
Right.
And in seeing that, what it really made me be grateful for, because I always tell people it's the worst and best thing in the entire world is when you lose a client, because you lose someone that you care so much about and the family that you care so much about. But it's also a place where our planning and what we've been able to do to help people begins to shine.
Because you get to see the actual, I don't want to say success when someone passes away, but the benefit or the positive of why we do what we do and how we do it.
Yeah. And the impact that it has on the remaining spouse,
right,
or the remaining family members, and today was just a really good reminder of that, when he walked in and he sat down with his daughter and his son, and, we sat down and looked at everything that we kind of put into play is now coming to fruition, and everything that we told him we're doing.
And they're in a good place financially because of that. They're not worried. They're not stressed. Everything is organized. They know what to anticipate and what to expect at that point.
And it's all working together.
Right.
So, the one thing I'll talk to people about is, we go about everything with a plan.
Yeah.
That's how we teach
definitely do.
Internally at the Terrier Group, as far as all of our advisors on Motivate side. Yeah. We believe very, very, very strongly in the planning process. And it's been a fundamental shift for us. There are a lot of FMOs who pitch product. There are certain FMOs who only pitch annuities, and they pitch annuities during the seminar and you close at the next appointment. There are companies out there who push life insurance, same way. There are brokers out there that push real estate investment trusts. And
mutual funds, VAs, whatever all these
it's going to be.
Products.
Yeah. And so, I think that what the world's looking for, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, because you're talking to advisors as well, but I believe that the clients are looking for a plan.
Oh, 100%. They're done having onesie twosie things sold to them. I was actually talking to an advisor who's not with us this morning. Super smart guy, has been in the business for a long time. And what he's looking for.
He's with another firm right now.
Yeah.
And he's looking for some help.
Right.
Gotcha. Okay.
But he knows the business. He is a partner in a BD. He said, I need someone to teach me how to use all these pieces of insurance together. He said, I only know how to use one thing singularly, but then it's not helping with this part of the plan or this part of the plan. He's like, I need something that I can look at all of it collectively and they're all working together. And I said, well, are you doing a full plan? He's like, no, I'm just kind of filling in the gaps with products that I have knowledge with. But he sees that's not working and he doesn't want to do that anymore. So it was really interesting just to, I chatted with him for a good half hour today, just about business and, going about things a certain way.
Well, when I went up to DC a few years back when, I was recognized as one of the 40 under 40, which I wish I was still under 40.
A long time ago.
Long time ago. But went up and spoke with, people in Washington, D.C. about the fiduciary rule and kind of, that's the direction that the government wants everyone to go as well, is, because what we've seen is a fundamental shift in the industry in that the employer is no longer really on the hook as much as the employee is for their own retirement now.
Yeah, everybody's responsible for themselves.
Yeah, pensions are a thing of the past. We're seeing them become more and more dinosaurs. We are at a point now where we have more people that are without a pension than actually have a pension.
401ks aren't being funded the same. They're more responsible.
No, because people are tight on their cash, so they're not putting the 401ks the way they want to. So I think that, what we're seeing is a pretty fundamental shift. And I think it's a great time for you, anyone who's listening right now, that if you're not going through the full financial planning process, you are missing out on several different things. And in my opinion, you're putting yourself out there for a liability.
Well, and your client is going to be lacking as well. If you're not covering all of their basis, all of their needs, all of their desires, because you're not having that conversation, are you really putting them in a better position? If you guys are already doing all of this and you're working with all the pieces working together, I commend you. That's awesome. You're consulting your clients and you're not just selling them a product.
Exactly. So that's why we work so much on the planning aspect of things. That, and then the other thing I spoke about last week, anyone who listened to the podcast last week, I kind of went through my story and my own personal business case study. But, I discussed the 3 different types of risk that really, I feel, are just a really relevant thing today. The risk of bad advice, no advice, and one-sided advice. And what your clients are looking for now is your clients are really looking to not be sold, but be provided with the education that Cassie mentions, and really kind of seeing why they should be doing these different things so they can make an educated decision. We live in a world now where you can look on Amazon for a product and get an idea of what people think of it from the reviews. We live in a world now where all of the information is available to us at the click of a button. And so what I really believe right now is that people have done the whole, I'll go in, people tell me what to do and I leave type of scenario, and maybe even have 3 or 4 different advisors that they're working with and not really understand how they all work together. And then they end up in a situation that they're pretty frustrated with. I mean, can you imagine going to a doctor and having that doctor prescribe you a bunch of different medications and different things without knowing your full medical history?
Or telling you why he's doing these things. If he just says, go get these things filled.
Yeah.
Okay, well, why? What's wrong?
But not understand that. Yeah. I mean, not understand the impact that that the other medications could have, or any of those different things. I mean, but we're seeing people in the financial services industry do that. Here's what, if you want to separate yourself and distinguish yourself from other people, I really believe this is the way to start going about it. Put people in the, did I tell you about when I walked out of my house today?
No.
I know I just totally changed subjects on you, but I walked out of the house today, walked down the street, and I got hit by a bicycle.
No.
I did.
Night.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then the same thing happened to me yesterday.
Weird.
I walked out of my house, walked down the street, and boom, another bicycle hit me.
Strange.
Cassie.
Yes.
It's a vicious cycle.
You're so sorry, guys. That was not a good one. Womp, womp, womp. No. Wrong.
The crowd went wild on that one.
Wrong.
You want this one?
Yes. That is much more fitting. Much more fitting.
Yeah. I bought a new hairpiece.
Stop. We're being serious.
I am too. I bought a new
we're
hairpiece.
Discussing important things right now.
It was 25 cents.
Okay.
I think it was a cheap price to pay.
It was to pay too much.
To pay.
I get it.
Nothing.
Wah.
Look, here's the reality. I spoke about this last week. My father suffered from all 3 different bad advice, no advice, and one-sided advice. And I think that, and we can clarify those a little bit more, but
sure.
I think that that's really the direction people are looking for, is to allow the mathematics to make their decision. And I'll say this 1,000,000 times more than I've already said it. Money's emotional. And I have zero issue. In fact, I encourage people to make emotional decisions with regards to their money, as long as they're using mathematics to provide them the data, right? So if you're sitting with a client, and I sat with a client this week, I was actually doing a webinar with a client in Texas with another one of our advisors, and helping them close that case and helping them bring those clients on, and showing them what their portfolio's characteristics are very important. And I was able to sit back and say, you have $1 million. Okay. You've worked hard for your $1 million. If that $1 million were to drop by $300,000 in a matter of 93 days, how would that impact your life? They said, there's no way in hell we want that. We don't ever want that. No way. We do not want a portfolio that's going to do that.
Right.
Well, then that data drove that emotion.
Yeah. They know what that risk tolerance is and what they're willing to, put out there and not put out there.
Same client has a disabled child and special needs child. And so part of the conversation was that we're not just planning for one generation, we're planning for multiple generations for them. And they had purchased a life insurance policy to ensure that their daughter would be able to be okay if, God forbid, they passed away. What they were unaware of the fact is that this policy will lapse.
Yeah. And it was a VA. A VUL.
VUL.
Yes.
So, it could lapse because the marketplace and because of the current current charges within it, this thing could lapse.
Mhm.
And so now we're not putting any certainty within that second generation. That created an emotion, and that emotion was based upon data. So it needs to be a situation now, folks, where you understand that your job is to provide your clients with different ways to understand their current situation without you, and then understand what the future could look like with you based upon how everything is interacting with itself.
Yeah. And you kind of mentioned it earlier. I think the most important question that can be asked on both sides is why? Why do you want this to happen for your family? Why do you want it set up this way? And then as the advisor, let them know why you are doing this, why you are structuring it this way. Why are you using this product? Why are you putting them in the portfolio? Because your why should be the same as theirs. They should kind of answer each other. We're doing this because you have this problem. This is how we're going to do it. We always kind of say we love that Simon Sinek start with a why. It doesn't just have to be about marketing and your messaging. It should be about life. Why are you doing these things? And that should be kind of your driving force.
You're like the micro machines person.
What do you mean?
Do you remember that commercial from when we were kids where the micro machine guy would go talk like that? He'd sell the micro machines. That's what you just did. I'm gonna play this thing back for you. You got to hear this. It was pretty impressive. The fact he didn't stutter, I'm amazed. Did I tell you about
why?
Did I tell you about the bicycle that hit me?
No, stop. That's not okay. You're not funny. Let's get back on track here. As normal, guys, it's Friday. It's the end of the week. No, but really, I think if you're interested in learning how to take more of a consultative approach, we do have an awesome process that we teach our advisors. I actually had an advisor a few weeks ago. He did a seminar and he called and he went through the 8 elements with his first appointment, and he called and let me know. He said, they said, no one has ever asked me these questions. No one's ever gone through the details like this with me. So he just wanted to thank me. I said, that's awesome. They're moving forward. They're doing business with him. So this is one of the tools that we give our advisors, is to provide the education.
Yeah, the tools are not my jokes.
No, the tools are definitely not your
jokes. But you brought up an interesting point with the gentleman that you spoke to today that called in. And this is kind of why I always discuss the fact that I think the industry is broken, because the industry is so focused on whatever it is they're selling. They're still not looking from a consultative approach.
Right.
So if you go to one FMO and you go to one BD and one RIA, or even, you have a couple different FMOs that you're working with, you're basically learning a system to sell a product, right? What we focus on here is a lot different, because we want you to learn a system to sell the overall plan and help create that ideal living situation for your particular client, not just short-term, but also long-term. And what it allows you to really do is you really get to do well by your client.
Yeah. Which I would hope that's exactly everyone's goal in this business, is to take it. Yes. Everyone's in it for money, unless you're a nonprofit, you're doing this to generate revenue, but I would hope it's for both. Yeah. I would hope that at the same time, you're doing this to help your clients. I would hope.
And if you don't know, think about that gentleman, he's from a larger BD. If you don't know how to address these situations, it's probably a great time for us to talk, because it could be a great way for us to show you how to bridge those gaps, put everything together so you have an efficient strategy and an efficient plan. And that way your clients are not the ones suffering from a one-size-fits-all financial situation or plan.
Yeah. And you don't become the individual that just sold them something and someone else may or may not have to fix it in a little bit.
So you don't have any good jokes today. You're ripping on mine.
I
like
know.
You are.
Usually I have good ones. I don't have
Really?
any.
Really?
I always have great jokes.
You think usually your jokes are good?
I laugh hysterically at them, and that's all that matters.
That's fine. It sounds kind of like what I do. But yeah, if you guys ever have questions, comments, concerns that you want to just at least pick someone's brain, contact us. What's the best way to get a hold of you, Cass?
Guys, you can give me a shout. Local, it's 772-247-4488. I can always be reached by email. It's Cassie, Cassie at motive8advisors.com.
We'd love to be able to keep talking to you. Anything that pops up, feel free to reach out to us. We'd love to be able to have more and more conversations, and keep the suggestions and recommendations coming. This show is designed around you building your business and taking it to the next level. We want to be part of that. So please make sure you reach out and let us know what type of things are on your mind. As always, thank you so much for the support.
Have a wonderful weekend and a happy early 4th of July. We will not be podcasting next week because we're going to be celebrating Independence Day, but
Maybe
we will see you guys.
Maybe we'll shoot it on Monday or something.
That's true. Maybe.
We'll see.
Yeah, but get out there, guys. Enjoy your weekend, and we will talk to you soon.
Enjoy your families. And I appreciate everything you do. Thanks so much again for listening. We'll talk to you in a bit. Bye.